Hello everybody and welcome to another video. This time around, not a recent gaming or recent viewing or any of that kind of stuff, just sort of a standard video posing a question to myself that I've seen other people answer before. I think I've answered it elsewhere before, and I may have even touched on this subject in previous videos of my own, but I kind of wanted to take a moment to make this video and talk about some stuff that's been on my mind when it comes to the world of video games here lately. And it's kind of two questions. It's why am I a gamer and why am I a collector? Two things that aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. Sometimes people are both, like me. Sometimes people sway more in, being a full-on hardcore gamer. Other people are just a collector. And so, like I said, I wanted to talk a little bit about both concepts, where I fit into that discussion, talk a little bit about some examples or people that kind of inspired me to want to answer this question here recently. So, the question is to why am I a gamer and why am I a collector? Well, the questions, I guess I should hopefully briefly kind of condense the story that I told a long time ago in one of my first videos in my personal gaming history. I started as a young kid in the early 80s with the Atari 2600, as well as also having a chance to play stuff like a ColecoVision, the Intellivision, and arcade games, your Pac-Mans and Donkey Kongs and Mario and Tron and Dig Dug. I mean, all these different things. And when I was a kid, all I could think about was just playing these games, going to wherever those things were. When I got my own Atari 2600, sitting down in my bedroom, I think I had a TV in the bedroom with my Atari 2600, and I would just play those games and just love them. I wasn't always all that good at them, but all I could think about was playing those games. That's the way it was several years later when I had the opportunity to get a Nintendo Entertainment System, and I ended up opting on getting an Atari 2600 for the second time. But every one of these console situations that I had, it was all about playing those games. When I graduated from high school and moved out on my own for the first time, that was when I finally got a different console other than the Atari 2600. When I got the Super Nintendo, and eventually ended up getting a Sega Genesis. I had the two main consoles that were out in those days, and once again, all my mind thought about was buying those games, renting those games, playing those games. I didn't think about doing something like this, putting games on shelves, games that I had beat, games that I didn't care for. For years and years and years and years and years, I traded games away in order to buy something new. But I was a gamer. At least one of the definitions that I have for gamer, which is somebody who plays games. I don't care if you're 85 years old and you're playing games on a phone or a tablet. If it's mobile games, handheld games, console games, PC games, you are a gamer if you play video games. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to 100% a game. You don't have to be a part of a massive online community. You just have to play games. That's what makes you a gamer. Now, you can be a casual gamer. That's what most of these people who play mobile gaming are. Or you could be a super hardcore gamer, which in my mind, that's anywhere from somebody who takes every game they encounter and they play it 100%, complete it, don't touch anything else until they've done so. Or it can be somebody who plays, say, like a Call of Duty game, World of Warcraft, just a specific game, and that's the only thing that they really do. Yes, you are a hardcore gamer if all you ever do is pick up the new Call of Duty and play it for a year. the new Madden or FIFA games and play those all the time. If whatever game or games that grabs your interest and plops your butt down in front of the TV or the computer or whatever it is you're playing on, if that game consumes your time to the point where you know it in and out and you play it, beat it 100%, you're a hardcore gamer in that regard. Now, as far as a gamer scale goes, I would put myself somewhere in the middle because I'm not always great at games. I'm so ever thankful that back in the day there were cheat devices and cheat codes, and now in this modern era, most games are super forgiving. They give you checkpoints so that whenever you die, you can pretty much jump right back in where you were. Enemies and levels and bosses and stuff don't necessarily reset if you die. I remember recently playing Super Metroid on the Wii through the homebrew and dying somewhere and realizing how far back it was going to respawn me. And even though that's like one of my favorite games of all time, that kind of took me out of it. And I didn't go back and play it anymore. That's how gaming has changed for me in the last 20 years or so. But that is where I said where I fit on the scale. I'm in between the super casual and the super hardcore. If I was better at games, had more patience, if I could conceive that I had more time, if I would allow myself more time to play games, and like I said, grow some of that patience, it might be a different thing. But that's where I am as far as gaming goes. Now, in the last 5 or 6 years, I lost grip on a whole bunch of stuff. I kind of lost sight of being a gamer and what it meant to me to be a gamer. I think a lot of outside forces contributed to that. A lot of things that had to do with, my life as a parent, my life as a divorced male, approaching 40 and past that age landmark, having a job, and I'd say most of all, the depression issues and the anxiety issues and the mental health issues that I have to deal with. It felt better and easier for me to sit over on the couch and watch YouTube instead of picking up the controller and deciding on a game and hoping that I wouldn't get frustrated in the course of playing the game. Playing the few things that enabled me to not really be frustrated about stuff, like Gary's Mod and World of Warcraft and whatnot. But I kind of lost sight of what it meant to be a gamer. On the flip side, the collector part sprang up, especially since I got divorced, even though I had a pretty respectable collection built up from some of the years that I was able to do that while I was still married. But as a single guy again, and as someone who didn't have an avenue or a funnel for that money that would go towards the stuff I would do with my wife or whatever, since I was single and here by myself most of the time, I really started to put money into that other thing that a person can do as a gamer or whatever, which is being a collector. So it started in a lot of ways just because I was alone and lonely and I didn't have somebody in my life, and I was dealing with the anxiety and depression issues, and it sort of seemed to fill a gap when I was able to spend money on, a video game or a movie or whatever, even if I didn't play it right away or watch it right away. So sadly that's where it started at. I was a gamer and am a gamer because I love video games and I love to experience those worlds. I love to challenge myself at times, but really just like to get through a story and see what happens. And it's been a great, filler of my time for 30 plus years, I would say. But I became a collector at first to kind of fill a void in my life with something that I love. You know, some people would find something that they don't love, or something that might even be considered self-destructive, and they would fill their life with that, and that would be bad. But me, I filled it with something that I did love, but I did put a lot of attention and time and focus on this thing instead of perhaps doing other things that I could have done with my time. Now I've had some time to reflect on it, and like I said, in thinking about this video, why am I a gamer, why am I a collector, I realize that as a gamer and as someone who loves games, being a collector, especially later on in your life like it is for me, it's important to me that at this point in my life, I kind of become a curator and a protector of these games and movies and whatnot that I surround myself with. It's sort of I feel like it's sort of my responsibility, since gaming never was a phase for me. It was never a thing that I did for a while and then I moved on to something else. Since I had the passion and the love for gaming as a whole, it was important to me that I protect it, if that makes any sense. Like having all the games and stuff that I have in my house here, all the stuff you see behind me and the stuff that you can't see, it's important that I give them a home, a shelter, a place to be appreciated. And even if I don't touch a game or play a game, it's here instead of out there in the wild. That terminology is thrown around by collectors, and they use it to describe the idea of finding something that's really awesome and really cool out there that isn't already in a collection. But I actually think of it exactly the way that it sounds, as silly as it may sound. Out there, outside those doors, is the wild. It's crazy, it's dangerous for these games. You should see the kind of shit that people put on eBay, the kind of shit that people find in their closet, the kind of, if anything in my daughter's possession would somewhere down the road become collectible and desirable by people. And this happened to me with my toys as well. But if any of that stuff were to become desirable or collectible by people, I just have to shake my head at the way that my daughter has kind of treated some of the stuff that she has. And kids / some adults don't treat their games and their movies and their collectibles with respect. I understand that they're not human beings or living creatures or anything like that, but I almost hold these things to that same kind of esteem. I want my games and movies and stuff to be treated with respect, and at least as long as I'm alive, I hope that that's what happens. That's the responsibility that I take on as being a collector. Keep them on the shelves, display them nicely, protect them from things like sunlight and moisture and little kids' hands, and dust them and clean them and just do what I have to do for them to protect them, because that's, like I said, I feel like that's what my responsibility is as a collector, is to be a curator. Sort of display them nicely like you would in a museum, but take all the security measures that you can to make sure that they will last as long as I will. And hopefully if my daughter grows up as she grows up, maybe this will all go to her at some point. Maybe this will be important to her. But if it isn't, no big deal. Sometime in my life, this may all go and may be sold to somebody who will appreciate it. There's a lot of resellers out there, and they just buy stuff to flip it and sell it on to the next person, and they don't care what happens to it. Hopefully, if my stuff ever has to go to somebody else, it'll go into a collection and with somebody who will appreciate it for what it is. That's my hope. So anyway, I don't necessarily know that I really made all the points that I wanted to, but I talked about it, and that was kind of what I needed to do. I'm a gamer because I love video games, and I always have. They take me to these worlds and on these journeys with all these people that I sometimes relate to, sometimes I don't, but I love learning about them and finding out what happens to them. And that's why I'm a gamer, but I'm a collector because I feel like it's my responsibility as a lover of video games to take care of video games. Put video games into a collection like mine where they will be cared for and loved and not thrown out there into the wild where people will destroy them and just do crazy things to them. I see these videos where people smashing them, shooting consoles and games with guns in slow motion, and just all kinds of ridiculous bullshit. And I just don't want to see that happen. So, anyway, like I said, those are my thoughts. And if you want to answer that same question, why are you a gamer and why are you a collector, and which of those do you side more with, or are you in the middle? Comment down below if you like. Those are just my 2 cents, and I'll talk to you guys another time.